Welcome to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Kyla Chanel. I'm a performance nutritionist specializing in sex differences in sport. I work with athletes from all over the world through my online private practice and sports nutrition programs. We here at Nutritional Revolution are here to cut through the BS promoted in the media and give you the science, literally straight from the research articles, as well as share client success stories and experiences around nutrition and racing. Please keep in mind, this podcast is created strictly for educational purposes only and should never be used as a replacement for medical diagnosis and treatment. If you like what you hear today, we would love for you to subscribe and share. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast. It's your host, Kyla Chanel, and we have for you guys Dr. Bryce Appelbaum. For decades, we've been told that 20/20 eyesight means perfect vision, but eyesight and vision are not the same thing. Our guest today, Dr. Bryce Appelbaum, is a neuro-optometrist and the founder of My Vision First, a premier private practice specializing in functional vision care. He's the creator of Vision Performance Training, a groundbreaking approach that rewires the eye-brain connection to enhance performance, accelerate post-concussion recovery, and build long-term visual resilience. Through his work with My Vision First, ScreenFit, and neuro-optometric rehab, Dr. Appelbaum has helped thousands, from students to elite athletes, thrive in a screen-dominated world. A board-certified fellow of the College of Optometrists in Vision Development, Dr. Appelbaum is redefining how we think about sight because 20/20 isn't the full story. He shows how vision performance training can rewire the eye-brain connection to restore clarity, unleash confidence, and unlock your full potential in the modern world. We will definitely be having Bryce back because this was an awesome episode, you guys. I learned a ton. You are going to enjoy it. Welcome back to the Nutritional Revolution podcast, you guys. We have Dr. Bryce Appelbaum, or AKA Dr. B. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. So psyched to be here.
Oh, I am super psyched. This is definitely going to be a one-of-a-kind episode for our listeners, so definitely hang in here. This is a very cool topic. But before we get to dive into that very cool topic, we're going to let Bryce break down his two truths and a lie and see what we find out about you.
Yes. All right. So just to give a little bit of perspective. So I'm a functional eye doctor. My specialty is optimizing the eye-brain connection. And we do a specific form of treatment we created called vision performance training. So it's kind of like PT for the eyes, but for the brain through the eyes. So my two truths and a lie are related to vision training. And I would say, I'll say all three and not giving the answers till the end, right?
Yeah. No, in no particular order.
So I'll say I've had patients who've improved their dating life through vision training.
Oh, cool.
I've had patients who've gained 2 inches in height through their vision training.
What?
And I've had patients lose 15 pounds in a week through their vision training.
Whoa.
So 2 of those are true. 1 is not necessarily true, and I can give the feedback after.
Okay. Don't tell me the answer. I feel like 15 pounds in a week is a lot. So I feel my immediate thought goes to that. Maybe it's like a certain amount of weight loss, but not 15 pounds. I don't know, but I definitely, if it's true, I have got to hear the story on like what was going on there. I think that's a lie, but don't tell us the answer.
Well,
the 2 inches of height is very interesting too. Like physical changes in the body outside of the eyes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we'll learn a lot of the work we're doing. It's all brain.
Yeah.
And functional vision problems are brain problems. So when we can influence the brain, as you know better than most people, like we can influence so many aspects of performance, but then also function and even some structure as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So cool. So cool. I'm personally very excited for this. But also, of course, we do this for our listeners. Okay. You have a TED Talk, which we are going to link in the show notes for our listeners.
Amazing.
But you brought up in the TED Talk, 20/20 eyesight isn't the full story. And you broke down kind of a difference between eyesight and vision. Can you share kind of like the Cliff Notes version of that for our listeners?
Absolutely. And that to me is like the biggest take home from this conversation here, that eyesight and vision are not the same thing, and that there's so much more to vision than just 20/20 eyesight. So think of eyesight as our ability to focus light clearly. It's a symptom. That's what glasses are for. So that's letters on the letter chart in an eye exam, street signs when you're driving, what the teacher writes on the board in the classroom for a child. Vision is so much more complex, and vision is how our brain filters, organizes, and processes all the information coming in through the eyes to know how to make sense of it, drive meaning, and then direct the appropriate action.
Mm.
So think of eyesight is a symptom, eyesight is glasses, vision is brain, vision problems are brain problems, and there are solutions and treatments for these brain problems, specifically with something like vision training.
So interesting. And you mentioned too before your two truths and a lie, you said the work you do is like PT for your eyes. I'm curious, does that exist in our health system?
It does. So there's a couple different modalities. There's something called vision therapy. There's something called vision training. There's something called
Cool.
orthoptics. And then even kind of a little bit externally, there's vestibular-based physical therapy for vestibular dysfunction. There's even sensory integration-based occupational therapy.
Wow.
But I would say the work we do is more of a kind of hybrid of all these, more of a methodology, because it incorporates movement, balance, thinking, cognition, vestibular input into the vision training work, because vision doesn't operate in isolation of these systems.
Right.
But you know, we work, more than half my practice is concussion and traumatic brain injury rehab. We see a lot of people with eye turns or lazy eyes as an alternative to surgery, learn how to straighten their eyes. We see people with dyslexia or ADD or ADHD where it's not that, it's functional vision problems causing the same symptoms and behaviors.
Wow.
And then we just see a lot of athletes who are like, I want to get advantage based off of my dominant sense, guiding and leading and improving in terms of different percentage points. So much
cool.
can be done when we tap into our dominant sense to give us an advantage in the world.
Yeah, that is so fascinating. Okay, so as you know, most of our listeners are endurance athletes. Most of them, I'm just going to make a vast assumption here, but a lot of them have passed their eye exam. Especially when I think about checking in with my clients, maybe they have contacts in, but they're not wearing glasses. Why wouldn't that be like a green light that they think it is for maybe riding? We think about mountain biking or gravel cycling, road biking. What should we be thinking about here besides, I mean, they think they're good to go.
I know I'm biased, but with the eyes, there's more of a discrepancy than any other part of the body. We are in a reactive medical system. We're looking at intervening when there's disease. We're looking at structure, but we're not looking at function and taking a proactive approach. And as an eye doctor, myself included, we were all trained how to manage vision decline rather than recognize what could be done to unlock potential.
Right.
So when you get an eye exam and they say it's basically looking at, can you read tiny letters on the bottom of a small chart in a dark room far away, but not looking at functional skills. So the tracking, the focusing, the eye coordination, the depth perception, that is what's needed for endurance athletes, for cyclists, for people who have to react to visual information, have to take in what's around them and in front of them in a more dynamic fashion. And, you know, an endurance athlete can have world-class lungs and legs, but if their brain is spending excess energy processing visual information, they're leaving a massive piece of performance still on the table.
Oh, interesting. Okay. This kind of leads me to my next question, which was, I had heard that half the brain is involved in visual processing.
Yes.
So on that exact note, is it, so it's possible that someone could be kind of utilizing like more than necessary amounts of brain power to take things in?
I would say it's not possible. It's probable.
Probable. Okay.
Especially in this digital world that we're all in, where our brains are often on overdrive, just trying to align, point, and focus the eyes, that the ability to process and take all that in is not even close to as efficient, automatic, or unconscious as it's supposed to be. And, you know, so much of sensory overload and our brain experiencing fog and fatigue, you know, has to do with our visual system taxing the brain, or toxicity or stress from our environment causing these adaptations. And the biggest toxicity to our nervous system that we're all experiencing, even you and me right now, is screen time. And shifting how our brain is literally taking in space. I mean, when our visual system is in a fight or flight response, our pupils widen, we get stuck in with this tunnel vision effect. That's how we're all operating on screens. Our thinking, our attention, and our vision become tunneled. And so then all of a sudden you start to lose stamina and flexibility, and so much shifts in terms of the processing and how we're able to take in the world. So one of the hidden markers of fatigue especially for athletes in your community, it's not just slowing down, it's kind of seeing less of the world around you or seeing the world around you in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. This is making me want to ask so many personal questions.
Let's go.
Okay. Well, first of all, funny enough, we have our podcast today. I'm coming to me with you. I don't even know if you can see this or not, but my left lower eyelid is twitching.
Yes.
Tell me about that. What is
All
going
right.
on with my eyeball?
Typically that's something called myokymia, which
Okay.
is basically from either fatigue, caffeine, stress,
Okay.
or a lot of other things, but the brain having a hard time innervating what controls the lids. And it's usually one lid at a time.
Yeah.
And it's usually just on one side. And it's usually a great sign that, I say this with love, you just got to take a little bit better care of yourself.
Yeah.
And
This
so
hasn't happened in a long time. I'll say that.
a lot of people say, like, before big meetings, by the end of the day, or if they haven't slept well,
Yeah.
their lids start freaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you want to rule out scary stuff, but that's very, very unlikely. And if it's one lid and it's in situations like this, it's usually just that and fatigue.
Yeah. I had like an excessive amount of screen time the other day, and then it started after that. And after that day, like, to kind of what you're talking about with the brain, is like my brain felt like a scrambled egg at the end of the day. Like I wanted to just like, I didn't even want to open my eyes, but I was awake. You know, I wanted to like shut my eyes and like not take in any visual processing. Is that normal?
I mean, I would say it's really common. Not normal, but it's also not normal for us to be on screens all day. The average American right now, adult, spends 7 hours and 4 minutes a day on a screen. That's average.
Yeah.
The average 8 to 10-year-old spends 6 hours a day on a screen. And our eyes and brains are not designed to take in that amount of strain and process that much visual information. And from the glare, the brightness, the junk light, the contrast, I mean, it puts the visual system under stress and under tension.
Yeah.
And tension over time, unless you're trying to get really buff, that's not good for our visual system. And that's what causes function to drastically shift.
Yeah. Do you have tips for how someone, because I did, so we'll link this in the notes too, but Bryce has a, what would you call it? Like a program, the Screen Fit?
So it's an online vision training program designed to teach the specific visual skills and abilities for life. And it's kind of like doing body weight work at home instead of going to a gym. It's a way to make vision training more accessible for the masses. But of course, you know, if you go to the gym, if you work with a doc who's board certified in real life with a customized program, it's better results faster. But this is a nice way to really make screens less terrible and have more of that kind of visual foundation needed to thrive in this digital world.
So I was telling Bryce before we got on the call, I'm working my way through the Screen Fit program, and I was immediately thinking of like athletes, because there's a lot of stuff in there with like eye tracking, and I think of whether it's like someone trying to catch something or someone on a bike and trying to process what's ahead, but also like, I don't know, like a rock in the road or a pothole they need to avoid, and being able to like see that coming close to you, or, you know, and being able to move around that appropriately and safely to prevent a crash and a concussion. We're going to talk about concussions here in a second, but very cool. But it also made me think, and maybe you go over this in the app, but I haven't gotten to it, but how should someone who is primarily working from their desk or at a computer the majority of their day, how should they be setting themselves up for success at their computer?
Yeah, I would say there's definitely, let's call it a 3-prong approach. So first, just like we train our bodies and every muscle in our body, we should be training the eye-brain connection. And that can start with simple exercises. So we can even go through some here on the podcast. There's 30 in each course on Screen Fit that has tangible things to work on and do. But I have a lot of patients and a lot of pro athletes that we've worked with who have pregame rituals, or every day, if they know they've got back-to-back Zooms, like they're doing before, middle, and at the end, the top 3 exercises for them.
Cool.
I think in general, we should all be taking a ton of vision breaks. So I always talk about the 20-20-20 rule, which is at least every 20 minutes of screen time, taking a break for at least 20 seconds and look at something at least 20 feet away. So you're kind of disengaging, you're letting the focusing system let go, you're letting the eye teaming system diverge and kind of look soft, more panoramically, and then you come back and you can achieve at the same level for longer. So it'd kind of be like if you had 3 hours of screen time, if you go 3 hours straight pounding through without looking away, performance drops with time. But if you're doing 3 hours with, breaks every 20 minutes, you're able to reset and come back and achieve at a higher level.
Cool.
So I think that's something. And you shared before you have a window ahead.
In front of my desk. Yeah.
That's perfect to be able to look out, let go, and then come back in. And so I think that's one simple way. I always tell people to set a timer on your phone. There's certain apps that do this as well. You can adjust the brightness, the glare, the contrast on the screen. You can have the ergonomics set up so that, the line of sight is kind of at the top at about 15 degrees below the midline. You can make sure you're not sitting too close. You can make sure you've got the right screen protectors on and things like that. But ultimately, I think the biggest lever we can all pull is training the eye-brain connection so that we can crush screen time, even though most of us can't get there without the work to train that system.
Right. Is there a distance like we should be sitting from our screens?
Yeah. So for most people with like a desktop, if you put your arm totally straight, the tip of your middle finger is kind of the closest you want to go.
Okay.
And so you're kind of that distance away.
Okay.
With laptops or handheld devices, you never want to go closer than what's called the Harmon distance. So if you stick your fist to your face, middle knuckle to elbow, never closer than that.
Okay. And if someone's going closer, that means what?
So typically, if you're leaning in going closer, it's because the focusing system, the accommodative system, the inside muscles of the eyes responsible for clarity, is getting tired quickly. And we want that to be like an old school camera lens that's on autofocus. But if it's stuck on manual focus, that means you're adjusting your body to compensate for what that system's not doing as naturally on its own as it should or could. So
go ahead.
We see that with kids all the time. Like a kid who's getting closer and closer to the tablet or like leaning on the desk. I mean, they're literally making it so their focusing system doesn't even have to do the work.
Ah, yes. Okay. Interesting.
And that can then often influences distance eyesight because the problem is at near, the symptom is far away. If we address the problem, the symptom improves or even reverses in some cases. But if we just address the symptom, it's here's stronger glasses, here's stronger contacts. You adapt to that. You need something stronger to maintain that same clarity. You go down this vicious cycle because you're completely not even acknowledging the root cause.
Yeah. So like enlarging the font on your device or your screen is that cheating?
So I would say it depends on the age. So for most people like 40s and beyond, we start to hold things farther away till arms aren't long enough. And then we grab those over-the-counter readers. You know the drill there.
Yeah.
In that case, well, first of all, in that case, just like any other system in our body, if you don't use it, you lose it. So you can train that system so that the fall off is much slower. And if you do enough work we do these intensive programs in my office, you can actually reverse that, which 7 years ago, I would have said that's not possible. Now, definitely we can do that. We have the protocols in place. But especially in that 40s age, I would say it's important to keep the print and the font small because it forces the brain to lock in and engage.
Yeah.
For a younger child who it's not the muscles becoming more rigid and less flexible, it's more just it hasn't been developed or, there's other challenges there, then I think making it bigger can be helpful.
So interesting.
But you want to be delicate. So if making it too small is causing strain and headache and fatigue, then I think there's a delicate balance between how big do we go while still focusing and using that system, but ultimately let's train the brain so it can handle it.
Yeah. This is all so neat. Like so neat. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And there's so few doctors taking this approach.
Yeah.
And like I'm in Maryland, in the DC, Maryland area, there's like 6,000 or 7,000 eye doctors. There's 7 of us board certified in vision development and rehabilitation. 2 of the 7 are within my office. Now the one of the 7 is my father who's retired.
Oh my
gosh. There's so few people looking at this, but then even in terms of what vision training looks like, it's not like PT where for a sprained MCL, you get a dozen sessions for grade 1, 2 dozen for grade 2. Whoever you go to around town is kind of the same work. There's no consistency yet on what this type of training looks like. And we're doing a lot to change that, but definitely want to see somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
If this is a path that you're curious about and wanting to tackle.
Yeah, this is so cool. So are you in your own practice, are you guys collecting like data to produce kind of
Oh
like
yeah,
almost like a study or
so
protocols like you're saying?
we and I can say this with zero ego at all. Like we're really kind of setting the standard of what this work looks like. And we every week have people flying in from all around the world doing these intensives. And
Wow.
we've had so many data points. So we are in the process of setting up a clinical trial with a local university.
Wow.
We actually last week just locked in another clinical trial for concussion, which is going to be awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
And then white papers wise, like there's not even close to enough out there, but there's definitely science that backs the efficacy of this. It's just, it often takes a long time before something's published, before it gets put into clinical practice. And especially with vision that's evolving, by the time something's in place, like we're at a new height.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So we like to say we learn from our patients and then,
yes,
you know, from there continue to reiterate and establish new protocols.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I want to jump into concussion stuff because working with athletes, they unfortunately occur. And we know with like the nutrition protocols, there's certainly some stuff out there with, you know, regards to creatine and omega-3s and stuff like that. But I remember like back in the day, it was like if you got a concussion, you weren't supposed to look at any screens.
Yes.
Tell us about like how you deal with concussion. Like, is that protocol totally changed? Like,
so there's we kind of joke and say, if you've seen one concussion, you've seen one concussion. Like every concussion should be treated differently, but there's definitely clear similarities and clear points that are consistent among everybody with head injury. So can I give a little bit of perspective on kind of where we come from and then get into it? So most people hear the word concussion and assume it only happens to athletes, professional athletes, whoever. But according to the National Institutes of Health, a mile down the road from my office, 28% of Americans have had at least one concussion in their lifetime. And most people often don't realize that their present day symptoms or struggles can often be tied to or connected to a prior event.
Yeah.
So maybe it's you hit your head on the countertop or had a playground accident when you're younger, but you never got the eye-brain connection checked. Or like you said, you go to the ER, you go to your primary care doc, and they say, you may have had a concussion. You're fine. Go sit in a dark room or get back to life. You got your bell rung. You'll be good. Neither of those is appropriate. But when you get the eye-brain connection checked and you look at functional vision, it's a very different scenario. So vision is represented in every lobe of our brain, not eyesight, but visual processing. And there's more areas of our brain dedicated to processing vision than all of the other senses combined. 2/3 of the neurons coming into our brain originate from our eyes. So it's kind of impossible to have any type of head injury and not have vision be impacted. It's just a matter of at what level.
Wow.
And when that happens, typically the most common symptoms and struggles are sensory overload in busy, crowded environments, light sensitivity, strained eyes on screens or with reading, and the headaches, the sometimes double vision, the brain fog, the fatigue. I'm a firm believer that pretty much every concussion can get to previous level of function with the right work, right motivation, and right compliance. And supplements play a role, nutrition plays a role, but for sure, if you can visualize using your eyes as like joysticks to tap into the brain, we can rewire the software to change how somebody's using vision, but to take confusion in the world and chaos in their brain and actually make those no longer options. And for most of the time, it's the eyes not working well together as a team. And with the right protocols in place, we can reestablish function and recalibrate, reorganize the brain to get the airplanes to take off and land where they need to with an air traffic controller that knows how to organize all of this. But for most people, they're getting the wrong information. And so sitting in a dark room and just avoiding stress, symptoms can improve, but the functional vision problems do not. Our brain just learns how to bypass them or compensate. They do improve, though, when you do the right work to rewire the brain. So I think we were on a really interesting panel together at an event a couple months ago, and everybody was talking about some of the sexy supplements out there, like creatine and ketogenic diets. But a lot of that can really support head injury, especially creatine. Like
Mm-hmm.
you take enough creatine, it's going to cross the blood-brain barrier and it's going to go towards cognition and brain function, not just straight to the muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can give our brain the right instructions to heal, healing occurs at a very different rate than it would otherwise.
Okay. This is so cool. So, okay. So then I would like you to kind of like break down two different scenarios.
Yeah.
Scenario one being someone just got a concussion
Yep.
within the last 24 hours. What should they be doing? And then the second scenario, someone who maybe had a concussion a year ago. I think, were you on Rebecca Rush's podcast as well? Talking about concussion?
Yes.
I immediately think of her with that because I know her concussion symptoms were, I mean, maybe even still lasting. And I think it's been a couple years now. So like, what would these two different kind of like avatars, how should they be thinking about your work and vision work? What should they be doing if they just find out about you right now?
Well, and she's had a lot of head injuries.
Yeah.
And she is a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done everything possible that she knew of, but I think there was clearly a big missing piece with vision in terms of getting back to previous level of function. So I think the person who, well, first of all, there is no timeline where these problems can't be treated, reversed, and eliminated.
Awesome.
And even though a lot of doctors will say there's this critical period within 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months after the head injury, and I don't know where they're getting all this information from.
Yeah.
We actually now have research and science to show that something like vision therapy can drastically speed up the recovery process, especially to re-engage with reading, screens, life, things like that. So I would say, although we want to avoid unnecessary struggling as much as we can, so often we just accept how we're functioning as normal.
Yeah.
And that becomes just status quo, and then mental health gets compromised, and we start thinking about like, oh my God, is this in my head? Because no one can find something wrong with me. It's because you're going to the wrong docs and not doing the right tests.
Yeah.
So no matter when the head injury was, or even if you don't even know of a specific event, if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, absolutely take action and start training the eye-brain connection. For the person who immediately or right after thinks they've had some sort of event or they're noticing symptoms, I think the first thing to do is definitely pull back and kind of check in and self-regulate, self-monitor, things like that. Typically, screen time presents a lot of visual stress. And so if we're jumping into the deep end immediately with too much screen time, it can almost awaken a sleeping bear in terms of symptoms. And then it's like, it feels like you've gone steps backwards or diagonally in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So I always like to say, like, if there's concern, give yourself a small time period. Give yourself 10 minutes of screen time. Regardless of how you feel, take a step back and give it a break, and then kind of learn how to just check in with yourself, and then try another 10 minutes, but maybe go a little longer, and then kind of slowly, almost like reverse titrate it. But the sensory overload that comes with light absolutely impacts the autonomic nervous system. And what we often see is that the inside and outside muscles of the eyes after head injury start working in an opposing fashion. Or our eyes start to focus at different planes. And then the brightness, the glare, the contrast causes this flood of input that makes you feel like you want to retreat and pull back. And then we start using our visual system a different way than our brain is wired.
Wow.
So much of what happens after head injury are really maladaptations or roadblocks in place because we haven't learned how to tap into them yet to eliminate those as options. So, you know, I think it's a matter of like, if there is concern about something scary going on, it's important to go see a doctor or somebody right away to make sure there's not blood pooling in the brain and everything's still attached and all the bad stuff is no longer options. But in the vast majority of cases, things are solid and no one can really find anything wrong because we're not looking at brain function in real time with, you know, a SPECT scan, a functional MRI, certain things that would identify that. But based off of symptoms, if there's headaches, if there's eye strain, if there's dizziness, nausea, brain fog, sensory overload, tired eyes, disrupted sleep, I mean, those are all diagnostic for vision is at least playing a role, and probably a big role to the dysfunction.
Wow. Yeah, that is wild. And also very helpful, I think, too. Like, I can think of too many clients that have had concussions or, or honestly don't do anything for it. Like they just,
Yeah.
like you're saying, go back to their regular life and like maybe bump up their creatine a little bit, but everything's like trying to go as usual. And like you're saying, the brain fog and the overstimulus and all of that just like piles on. How long can symptoms like this last, and how quickly can they be potentially kind of corrected when they start doing the vision stuff?
I mean, they can last indefinitely. Like I
Wow.
saw somebody today who's, what he says, he's had an estimated 13 head injuries.
Oh,
And the first one was, he said, in fourth grade, and he's now in his 40s.
oh,
And,
wow.
he can't hold a desk job. He's got significant mental health challenges. And,
Oh,
I think he thought so much else was wrong with him, but in reality, his eyes weren't working together as a team, causing,
yeah.
again, confusion up here and then just this like disorganized chaos in his life. And
Wow.
he's one where he has so many symptoms that he
Mm.
will see symptoms improving,
Mm-hmm.
and the proof in the pudding, like very quickly. He's going to see that
Yeah.
in weeks, not months. And,
Wow.
he's losing his place with reading, skipping words, skipping lines, words are going
Mm-hmm.
into and out of focus. He's not remembering what he's reading. His mind's wandering with new work. And because there's so many symptoms, it makes it a lot easier to then see his hard work paying off. And so,
Yeah.
if we've identified the right problems, we know the exact treatment, then we should be able to predict what
Mm-hmm.
happens. And I would say the longer that somebody's been struggling through head injury recovery, compensating, maybe the more embedded a bad habit could be, or more embedded a maladaptation would be.
Mm-hmm.
But it still means we can still tap into it and eliminate some of that. And for anybody listening, I mean, you mentioned creatine. I think omega-3 fatty acids are also a really big piece to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a neurologist that I work closely with who has done a ton of research in the brain injury space. He recommends a 9-gram loading dose for 2 weeks. And I think we talked about this when we were
Mm-hmm.
at our last event. And then going down to 6 grams after that, regardless of whether the concussion was yesterday, a year ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's too much, but for, most people are not going to absorb all that. But
Yeah.
if you look at the brain being comprised of a heavy percentage of the DHA, EPA, and all that's in the omega-3s, like you provide it what it needs to heal, it's going to have a much easier time healing,
Right.
especially with the right instructions.
Yeah. Well, and like the US population is way under consuming anti-inflammatory fatty acids for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah. And also providing a ton of crap to,
Mhm.
in terms of food that doesn't
Yeah.
allow
Pro-inflammatory.
for, I mean, there's neuroinflammation that just gets on this cascade
Yeah.
after head injury.
If you've ever tried to buy creatine or electrolytes online and wondered, is this actually legit? We got a quick fix. We built a full script dispensary for Nutritional Revolution listeners so you can shop trusted professional grade supplements that ship direct from the manufacturer, no random third party sellers, no sketchy storage. You'll find brands we use with our athletes all the time, like Thorne, Clean Athlete, Nordic Naturals, Pure Encapsulations, Designs for Health, Designs for Sport, etc., and a ton of NSF certified for sport options. Everyone gets 20% off always, and it's free to create an account. If you set up auto ship, you'll get an additional 5% off. Just open up the show notes and tap the full script link to get started.
And now back to the show. So with the vision-based recovery, how would that fit alongside an athlete, for example, post-concussion, when they're thinking about their return to sports stuff? So they're doing, gradual improvements or increasing in their training. Maybe they're rehabbing something else that's injured.
Yeah.
Like, are they getting on the vision stuff right away and incorporating that in there? Or are they
So I think
layering?
it depends on the sport and the level of severity of the injury.
Mhm.
I think in general, like the more we can access our periphery, the more we can get outside, the more we can help regulate our nervous system, the better. The nervous system is always impacted after head injury.
Mhm.
And again, I know I'm biased, but vision is one of the most important drivers of regulating our nervous system.
Mhm.
And so we can immediately have different exercises that we're doing to help calm the system.
Mm.
But, I think for most people, like if you're really self-aware, you can recognize certain tasks are going to make the headache worse, are going to
Mhm.
make the brain fog more substantial, or make it so that you're less clear-headed in terms of what you're doing. I think
Mhm.
in general, limiting screen time is really important.
Mhm.
And that is like stepping on the open wound in terms of symptoms for everybody.
Yeah.
And in general, reading with paper and handheld on a book, way better than reading on a screen. But again, just moderation with kind of everything, and then just slowly adding more to the plate until you feel like you're at a wall and aren't able to get past it.
Yeah. Why are screens worse than a paper version? Is it the backlighting, or what is it that's...
So very different visual demands on a screen than, let's say, reading a page even. There's more eye movements, they're more sporadic, they're all over the place. There's the brightness, the glare, the contrast, and then really the blue light. The blue light is, first of all, blue light is really important for us, but we want natural blue light from the sun that's outside.
Yeah.
The artificial junk blue light from screens causes stress on the system. It causes oxidative stress. It impacts our mitochondria, and it causes strain that often makes it hard for our brain to filter information. So really high quality blue light blocking glasses are really important. Eliminating screen time, ideally at least 2 hours before bedtime, is going to help you get to a place where you can fall asleep faster with better quality sleep, and then you can allow for rest and recovery to take place. But we have these receptors in the back of our eye and our retina whose sole responsibility is to respond to light to signal the sleep-wake mechanism that allows secretion of melatonin. When those are overly stimulated, when you're on screens all day long, hormonal balance takes place, and then it becomes a lot harder to pull out of that fight or flight response, and you're stuck in this kind of stress state, and then literally everything else functions differently. I mean, we see so many patients with head injury who will say their fuse is shorter after screen time. They're less patient. Their thinking, their attention, their even just happiness changes drastically. And so that's something where, we're asking our brains to do things that we're often not equipped for after head injury, or really without a head injury too, for many people.
Yes. It makes me think of a couple things. One, this came across my social page. It was a researcher who had I wonder if you would have seen this. It was a researcher who had a RMR machine at his home, I guess. And he spent a lot of time on a computer. So he attached it to himself to gauge energy expenditure while seated working at a computer all day. And I remember the report was like, energy expenditure came out way greater, and specifically from glucose, than he had predicted initially. And he was theorizing that it was like the brain energy to for work and focus on the computer. Just throwing that out there. Not sure if you came across that in thoughts.
I have not. I've not seen that article or research, but I would definitely look and find it as soon as we're done talking. I mean, when your brain is on overdrive, then and our brain is very metabolically active, but our eyes are the most metabolically active organs in our body. And the visual systems is one of the fastest ways that the brain determines whether to kind of push harder or pull back. And if we can't regulate that system, then we just are in that autonomic distress for longer than we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Okay. One last question. I know we're also getting close on time, but blue blocking glasses, those orange glasses, should people be wearing those during the day?
No. Okay. So the blue blocking glasses you buy on Amazon for $3, typically you're paying for the quality that you're getting.
Yeah.
You want glasses that block the widest range of blue light. And so the ones that block 100% are red or amber. The ones that are yellow block a good portion, and the ones that are clear usually only block a small range. And the really high quality ones will block the small range of harmful blue light. So that's good enough for some. But I think definitely wearing those amber ones all day long, you're not allowing your brain to really recognize time and space accurately.
Yeah.
And so just even from a sleep perspective, if they're often you put on those red ones and it's calming and almost makes you tired because your brain thinks it's nighttime. And so it starts, resting, digesting, and then signaling the secretion of melatonin. I'm a big believer of those are in the evenings once the sun is set, if you're on screens. And then same thing in the morning, you want to get natural light in your eyes. But I do have patients who can't be in a room with fluorescent lights without very thick tints or filters on. Otherwise, they just completely go into this sensory overload and can't even open their eyes. So we prescribe a lot of different tints. There's certain profiles with head injury where a certain form of, it's called an omega tint. It's like a purplish blue one, just totally calms the visual system. Certain people with migraines or something called visual snow syndrome do really well with this kind of yellowish one known as FL41.
Whoa.
But really, eyes are light receivers, and they gather information from our world and then send it to our brain to just digest and make sense of it. So making sure we have the right information to process is going to allow for function to be optimized. And a lot can be done with just the right types of tints or glasses like that.
Yeah. So cool. I didn't know about the migraine one. Okay. I'm going to kind of go through, there's somewhat rapid fire questions, but if a listener thinks they may have an undiagnosed functional vision problem, whether from an old crash or screen overload, and they've never been evaluated, what's the first step they should take?
First step is trust your intuition and trust your instincts, because most doctors don't even know what to screen for or look for. If you're lucky enough to have a doctor board certified in vision training, rehabilitation, development, then go to that doctor and it'll be a very clear diagnostic protocol, and they'll come with the diagnoses and whatever's needed. But then the treatment that's needed is huge there. On our website, we actually have a symptom checklist specifically for concussion.
Oh, cool.
And, if you're more than a 5 on the symptom checklist, that's red flags. Let's at least get this checked out.
Yeah.
But I think so often it's, if you don't do the right tests or if you don't know what to look for, you're going to be up a creek without a paddle. And this is a big problem in the medical system today.
Yeah. Shoot. Okay. We will link that too in the show notes for the listeners if you want to take that concussion test. What should an athlete specifically ask their regular eye doctor that goes beyond the standard exam?
Yes. Ask about your vision. They're going to tell you about whether you need glasses or not. They're going to tell you about whether your eyes are healthy, but say, all right, great. How about my vision? How do my eyes work together as a team? How's my depth perception? How's my peripheral awareness? Am I reacting to information appropriately? Can I filter and process information like I should? We work with so many professional athletes, teams, where in many cases they're like, oh yeah, we've got vision taken care of. And that's just like these guys or gals figuring out whether they need glasses. That's just the first step.
Yeah.
Right? Like your ability to anticipate where sport is going to be or where the ball is going to be, that is really what's needed for performance to be optimized. And this is for people who people who know about functional vision, like this is their secret weapon for sports. And we work with race car drivers, Olympic skiers, like anyone who relies heavily on vision to be able to slow down their sport, get into flow space, but then be able to process information fluidly and accurately. And really any brain at any age has that ability to be optimized and enhanced when it comes to vision.
That's cool. That is very cool. Okay. What are your top 3 daily habits that actually preserve or improve vision over time?
Okay. So number 1 would be vision training. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but
it makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference. We are neglecting the most significant sensory system that influences performance, focus, attention, productivity, happiness, especially for professional athletes. And if you're just focusing on your body, you're leaving a big piece of all of this still on the table. And especially for endurance athletes, it's not just about how long your body can last. It's about how efficiently and accurately your brain processes and takes in that journey. So I would say train the brain, number 1. Number 2, limiting screen time in near work, or at least taking a lot of breaks when you are on screens and doing near work, because that can help balance the system dramatically. And then I would say nutrition and supplementation. Eating and supplementing for your brain is very similar to eating and supplementing for your eyes. Your eyes are extensions of your brain. The only part of your brain you can see without things getting messy. They emerge from the brain in utero in the first trimester.
Wow.
And even from like changes in contrast or in different lighting environments, or having protection as we age with the right types of macular carotenoids, so much can be done and I'm assuming everyone listening or most people listening dial in a lot of these systems already, then it's like you can get many percentage points better when you're tackling the right levers.
That's awesome. And then last question, resources for our listeners who want to dig deeper or get evaluated.
Yes. So our practice, myvisionfirst.com, has a lot of great information on there. We have a bunch of different predictive checklists and kind of quizzes. We have our online vision training program called Screen Fit that we talked about. I would love to give your audience a huge discount so that everyone
awesome.
can just get going on that.
Sweet. We'll link that.
We'll come up with a code. We'll say maybe K Chanel.
Perfect.
That'll give a 40% off discount, and then it makes it super easy to get rolling.
Wow.
You only have to buy it once for your family. Everyone can do it.
Amazing.
And then on social media, we're putting out a lot of great content, a lot of exercises, certain things that can just people can put in their back pocket for either when they're ready or now when they want to start making that journey forward. But I will tell you, even if you give yourself 2 weeks and you do a couple, if you do eye push-ups, eye stretches, and peripheral pointing, you do it every day, 5 days a week for 2 weeks, I can promise you'll see a difference.
Yeah.
But just like normal exercise, you got to do the work. If you don't do the work, you're not going to see the benefits.
Yes. Yeah. I'll recommend the Screen Fit thing again, because when I was doing it, I definitely was having some realizations, like one of the eye stretching one too. I'm like trying not to turn my head, but I'm so like, I want to turn my
It's so natural to have your body shift, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the most important one, eye push-ups. This has gone viral over a dozen times because it's so simple, but it works.
Yeah.
You do those every day, like you'll notice on a bike, the world opens up more.
Yeah.
You'll notice you're less dependent on your reading glasses or maybe not even reaching for them or reaching for a weaker prescription.
Cool.
Because you're developing flexibility and stamina with that focusing system.
Amazing. That is so cool. And then where can people follow you on the socials?
Yes, Dr. Bryce Appelbaum. So it's Dr. Bryce, and then Appelbaum, Appelbaum. My ancestors wanted to make life really annoying. So Appelbaum is not spelled like apple the fruit. It's Apple, Appel. But you'll find us where we've got a big presence on a lot of them, especially on Instagram.
Amazing. And we will link his Insta in the show notes for listeners. Okay, your 2 truths and a lie. You said you've improved someone's dating life via vision training, that someone gained 2 inches in their height with vision training, and that someone lost 15 pounds in a week from vision training. I thought the weight loss one was the lie. Which one was the lie?
So that was actually not the lie. And I want to give a little bit of an explanation why.
Yes,
but
please.
The lie is the height. And I will say, to be fair, when people start seeing the world better and differently, they often do stand a little taller, more confidence, but not 2 inches taller.
Right.
But from the 15 pounds, we had this woman who did an intensive with us. She has dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of stress in her life, and her nervous system was so dysregulated.
Wow.
She went through vision. She did our 5-day intensive. She literally lost 15 pounds. The drive home, she called me and was bawling, and she was like, Dr. B, I don't know what we did here, but like the whole road is opened up and all the trees coming by, I can see the depth coming by, and things are clearer and brighter, and I'm more confident on the road, and I feel like my brain is freed up. She's actually a spiritual energetics coach.
Whoa.
And she found that she could access her third eye. This is a little woo, but so much more accurately and deeply after this type of work. And she was holding so much stress within her body that, I mean, she ate that week. It was maybe different than at home, but she got home and she said her pants weren't even staying on, and she was not overweight at all.
Whoa.
And then she's also done, she's done 2 intensives with us. So the first one, she lost 15 pounds. The second one, she said she lost 3 pounds.
Okay.
But thinking losing weight by training the eye-brain connection makes no sense until you recognize we're doing way more than just training the eye-brain connection. We're regulating the nervous system through vision, and that changed a lot in terms of systemic function for her.
Huh. So you think it like really downregulated like cortisol or something? There's like stress
Absolutely. She was having significant hormonal imbalances. Her sleep was off. She was sleeping like 2-3 hours a night, just as her normal.
Yeah.
And she felt like she was just always in a state of fight or flight. And then after doing all this, like so much better regulated. And she says she has the switch now that she can easily flip that opens up her peripheral vision and kind of allows her to feel grounded in space.
That's great. So she has her toolkit. She has her toolkit ready to refer to. That's what you want. Amazing.
Awesome. But I would say don't expect weight loss from vision therapy or vision training, although cool side effect.
Yes. Yeah, that is very fascinating. And then someone improved their dating life too with vision training.
Oh the confidence, the ability to step into your own skin. I mean, so often people, even with eye contact, it's like, do I look at their left eye, their right eye, their mouth, but they're not able to see the whole face as a whole.
Right.
So many people notice interpersonal communication improves.
Interesting.
Sense of self and space improves, and they're able to really confidently be in their skin because spatial awareness and depth is now where it needs to be.
Cool. Wow. This is so fascinating. I feel like we need to have you back on.
Let's do a round questions. 2, 3, 4. We'll keep these going.
For sure. Well, this has been so fun, Bryce. Thank you so much for joining us. And we, like I said, for our listeners, we'll link all that in the show notes for everybody so you guys can check that out. And definitely check out ScreenFit. I'm going to be working my way through that. And I definitely want to share that with my mother-in-law as well, actually. So
I love it. Yeah. Such an honor, Beyond. Thank you for having me. And I love the work you're doing. And you are able to pull out stats and research better than almost anybody, even just like talking in the bathroom. So very impressed with you. And I can clearly tell how lucky everybody is who's working with you.
Yeah. I kind of part of me thinks I have a little bit of a photographic memory with numbers. So that's where that comes from. But
that can be trained, by the way, visual memory, spatial memory. I mean, we can think in pictorial images more fluidly. Yeah. That's probably just been natural for you, which is great.
Yeah. Definitely a visual learner for sure.
Cool.
So cool. We definitely have to have you back.
Yes. Done. Done.
Awesome. To stay up to date with the Nutritional Revolution recent activities, follow Nutritional Revolution on Instagram and Facebook, and sign up to receive the Nutritional Revolution newsletters on the Nutritional Revolution website. If you guys enjoyed today's content, please hit subscribe below to stay up to date on the latest Nutritional Revolution posts. Have a healthy day.